This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Ready? Ready. All right, let's do it. Hi, everybody. Hello. How are you? We're good. Wow, very enthusiastic. Okay. I'm pretty sure I know most of the people in this room, but in case you are unaware, my name is Stephanie Taylor. I am your Community Association Manager. I actually just celebrated 1 year with Country Club, so I know. So yeah, I've been a community manager here for just 2 days over a year, and it perfectly aligned actually with our landscaping company, United Land Services. So they actually started their contract January 1st, so coming up on almost a year. It has been quite the year, and we are in a 3-year contract, right, with United. But we wanted to do this so that our residents had the opportunity to come and meet the team. And of course, they're going to be going over some things of the contract today, expectations, and all that good stuff, and then address any comments, concerns that our residents may have, because it's always good to get everything out in the open so we can successfully move forward. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce you to our landscaping team. These are the 3 main guys that I have contact with. We have Chris, we have John, and we have Carlon. So before you guys take it away, for those people that are online this evening, I would kindly ask if you please keep yourself muted. And if you do have any questions or comments that you'd like addressed, if you could please just type them into the chat box. I will read all of the comments, but we do want to keep it obviously respectful, friendly, and professional, but we will be reading everything. Okay? Have fun and take it away, gentlemen.
Well, first of all, thank you for all for having us here tonight. We've been talking to Stephanie and really trying to think of different ways in which we can all communicate together. So this town hall is an opportunity for us all to meet in person and be able to hear from you and also understand where we are within the community under the landscape maintenance contract. Communication is a key, and really the best way for you all to communicate with us is through a website. It's called Linked or Issue Track. And anytime you need to put in a request of any sort from any resident, there is a website. And all the cards are right up near the front office that has that website. And when you go to that website, it'll start prompting you on a number of questions. First of all, who are you? Where do you live? How do we contact you? And what is your request? Okay, you'll be responded to within 72 hours and let you know if one, has your request been completed? Or is the status still ongoing because we may have to order any type of material, and give you an idea of when this request will be completed, okay? So really that is a really good way for you all to communicate with us. When you send in those requests, Carlin will probably meet with most of you in person and really kind of understand the request and how we can fulfill your request, or if there's any additional steps that need to be taken, what those steps are, okay? Really, Carlin is our account manager on the property. I'm the branch manager, and Chris is our vice president of maintenance for United Land Services. So we'd really like to start off just to make sure that all of you understand our scope of services that we have within Champions Gate for landscape maintenance. All right. We are through the months of March through October, we mow your grass on a weekly basis. Now, when we mow your grass, we stick edge, we'll weed eat, we'll will blow and mow, okay? We will soft edge half the property, usually the front 1 week, and then the backs the next week. It's typically every other service that we soft edge. Now, soft edging is basically edging your planting beds or your tree rings, okay? Once a month, we'll come through and do a complete detail pruning of your yard. Weeds is usually our biggest challenge, especially in July and August, and that is ongoing. We'll have separate crews, and we have had separate crews just come through in sections and spray out the property, okay? Our horticultural services that we provide, we have 6 fertilizations on the turf. We have 4 fertilizations on all your shrubs and your trees and palms, okay? Those fertilizations are either liquid or they're granular, all right? If there's any disease and insects that are on the property, we take the integrated pest management or the best practices approach. We identify an issue and we treat it. We just don't bomb the entire property if we see one spot that has an issue, okay? We mulch the property once a year. We prune your palms twice a year. Typically, we do it in January, February in the palms, and then again in late summer, we prune your palms. So it's done twice a year. What am I missing, gentlemen? Hardwood pruning? Oh, yes, hardwood pruning. We did a little bit today. All your trees along the streets are elevated up to 15 feet if the caliper of the tree will allow that height. Really what we're trying to do is just allow for circulation of cars and trucks so they aren't taking off branches as they drive by. Walkways, we try to keep that up right around 7 feet so it's not hanging and poking people in the eyes. Okay, that's typically done once a year, and that's typically done in January and February. But we actually started a little bit earlier this year. We did a lot of that hardwood pruning last January, but a lot of it is grown and is hanging low, so we're focusing on the problem areas right now and just getting them elevated. We do, this year, as Stephanie had mentioned, it's been an interesting year because there was our first year on the property, but also the CDD and the other half of the community changed landscapers as well. We met with those powers, Stephanie and I, and Carlin, all met with the other entities of the community and really understood who is responsible for what. Because when that transition happened in mid-year, there was a little confusion on who was responsible for what. And it probably lasted for about a month or so. So if there was a certain area that didn't get addressed within like a month, that's what was going on, is through that whole transition with the other entities of the community. All right.
So just to clarify, because I'm not sure everybody is aware of what happened. So not only did the Master Association and the CDD change their landscaping teams, but the CDD ended up deeding over many smaller plots of land to both the Master Association and us, and then didn't really tell us until after the recording happened. So pieces of land that the CDD used to be in charge of just kept growing and growing and growing, and we had no idea that we were ultimately responsible for them starting at a certain date. So that has now all been resolved. Yes.
And we're back on track.
Right.
What else am I missing, gentlemen? Irrigation. Irrigation is a key. Irrigation, we provide a monthly wet check on the property. That means that we enter into the clocks on your homes. We will click through the system, make sure we have 100% coverage. Any heads that are broken, any nozzles that are clogged, we replace free of charge. It's included into our contract. If there's any mainline breaks or lateral lines or irrigation clocks that fail, that becomes the homeowner's responsibility. And we will provide you with a proposal to make that repair. Okay? And I think that's was a lot of people thought everything was included with the irrigation. Yes, sir.
John, what about drip lines?
Drip lines,
Is that included in the irrigation?
listen, if it's a simple coupling, it's included in our contract. We'll take care of it. But if there's a whole section that it needs to be completely redone because when it was installed, it doesn't have the appropriate coverage, that will work into a proposal and provide the homeowner. Okay? We weren't here when the installation actually transferred over to the other maintenance company, so we cannot take ownership of somebody else's work.
Do you also check whether the drip lines work?
Absolutely. Usually if there's a break, it's pretty obvious. You have a washout.
Or if it's not.
But yeah, we'll fill the bottom of it, make sure there's moisture coming out of it. We'll kind of spot check it around the home, wherever there's drip. But we don't expose all the drip line, pull back the mulch. We just check it periodically. If it's running throughout the system, it's operational.
Right.
Okay. What else?
Well, I think communication is key, and John kind of alluded to it a minute ago. We encourage, my team and I encourage having town halls like this. We have no problem coming in front of you, a little face-to-face time, because communication is key to our success. And the work order system that powered by IssueTrack is a direct line of communication with the homeowners to your landscape team. And it is an email-based system, so you go in, you log on your required data. That sends an email to Carlon directly. And we actually have Stephanie copied on that, so she sees it real time. And then Colin is required to, when he closes out, he's required to put a response in there as well. It's not, you can't just hit close and it sends you a response. It's required that, Miss Susan, your irrigation head by your driveway has been replaced, or whatever the issue that was put forth in the work order, he's required to provide a solution. And that goes back to the homeowner, and Stephanie's copied on that email as well. And the beautiful thing about this platform is we're able to pull reports. So at the end of the month, we could pull a report and send it to Stephanie and say, hey, we had 100 work orders open this month, and we've gone through, our goal is to go through all of them, obviously, but there might be the anomaly where we're waiting on parts or materials. So, say we've closed out 96 of them, and we've got 4 remaining open. So there's a lot of data that we can go, and you can actually determine where the trends are. If there's a certain homeowner that has, it's constantly having issues with, weed pressure in their turf or in their beds, maybe it's, they're getting overwatered, or there's always a reason that's causing some of these landscape concerns. So it identifies the trends and what's going on in the community, and it keeps the management team and us and communication with the homeowner itself live and having an open dialogue. I think you had a question?
I did. Regarding the ornamental grasses, when are those normally chopped down?
Great question.
So I'd like to just repeat the question just for the people
Want me to
online.
repeat it?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, the question was, the ornamental grasses, you have about 3 different types of ornamental grasses on the property. They are typically pruned down December, January, and February. There's certain grasses that are just finishing up with their flowering, and you do not want to prune that early. You wait till the very end to prune those. So all the muley grass, that's typically done in the February month. Spartina, Fakahatchee grass, that's typically done in December and January. So good question, and that's pruned 1 time a year.
Yeah, right.
And to clarify, the muley grass is the grass that has that pink flume on it, and it turns white. That's the flower that he's referring to.
I have one question, one minor concern. The question is there no way to fix minor bald spots? You can't see in Florida. You can only, cut out sections and put turf in, or just seems like a overkill to have to put sod in every place.
Right. There are some areas within the property that the turf is extremely thin. Okay. We went through right before we started our contract and did a very thorough audit on the property. We notated and photo documented a lot of those type of areas. All we can do with many of those areas is fertilize it, fertilize it, and make sure you keep the pest and the diseases out of it, okay? The best way is to let it fill in naturally. Keep it irrigated and properly irrigated, and make sure your whole program is helping that just fill.
And my concern is, the mowers sometimes there seem to be in an overrush and have a little brick thing, it sets the door, the patio, and they constantly bite over it and knock the bricks out.
If that happens, if you could do us a huge favor, if any issues like this is occurring with any resident, if you could visit that website, put in a simple request. If we as managers don't know about it, we can't correct it.
Okay.
And it'll happen again next week and week after.
That makes sense. Thank you.
And back to your turf comment, just as a rule of thumb, anything larger than like a trash can lid, like a voided area, you should just put down new turf. Now, if it's thin and you do have some lateral growth going in there, it's best practice is just to fertilize it, make sure it's getting plenty of water and feeding it and allow it to grow in naturally. But if you've got a bald spot the size of a trash can lid, the best remedy is just to replace it, put down new turf.
Thank you.
Mulch, can you tell us when you renew the mulch?
Mulch, this past year, I believe we did it in April. This year, we already had discussions on when we wanted to have that mulch installed, and it's going to be March. Okay? And it'll take, it doesn't happen, the whole property doesn't get mulched overnight. It's a process. It's a big property and it's a lot of mulch. Okay, so it takes a few weeks to get that done.
Thank you.
In Country Club 1, there are crepe myrtle trees, and they usually get cut back once a year. Do you know when that will be done?
January is the month that you typically do any type of crepe myrtle pruning. In our contract, we do not murder the crepe myrtle.
Yeah, I was gonna actually
We
ask.
don't
if you
top
could
them
talk
off
about that.
completely, okay? We prune out any dead and diseased, any crossing, and if there's elevation that needs to be done for pedestrian traffic or vehicle, as you're pulling your drive, or anything that's up against your house, we will pull that away. But we will not lop off the crepe myrtles.
So
Okay?
what he's referring to is basically the size of like your finger is what we're pruning. Anything larger than that could be detrimental to the tree long term.
Yes.
First, I want to tell you that I've observed your frontline employees for the entire time you've been here. We've been in our home for 10 years, so we're one of the originals. And I firmly believe that companies run by its frontline employees, and I congratulate you. They are efficient, hardworking. I don't know how they complete their work in some of the weather conditions. They wave, they smile, so that's number one on my list. Congratulations.
Well, thank you for saying that. Appreciate it.
I do have a couple questions
Yes.
besides that comment. You mentioned earlier that if there's a problem with irrigation, for example, you would notify us. How are we notified?
If there's an issue with your irrigation, if it's a broken head, we just fix it when we do our inspection. If there's a nozzle that's clogged, we'll go ahead and just replace it while we're doing our monthly inspection. If there's any adjustments on heads, we adjust it when we're doing our inspections. If there is something beyond that, we'll find out who you are, okay? And we will forward over a proposal that outlines the issue that you have with your irrigation.
If I mail something in the mailbox?
Whatever you have on file, typically it's an email.
Yeah, it's typically email. So what will happen if you have something irrigation related that requires a proposal, Carlon will contact me for your contact information, and he'll provide me with the proposal, and then I will email you that proposal and copy Carlon so that when you respond, he gets your approval or questions or anything.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is, do you provide landscape design services?
Yeah, if you would like to modify your landscaping, the first thing to do is contact us. We'll be with you, we'll consult with you on what you're looking for. We'll make the recommendations, and then the next step is you have to provide that information for the Architectural Review Board,
Yeah, they are.
the ARC committee, and receive their approval before you move forward with any landscape changes.
It's okay. I get that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We do have a question online. So for mulch, can the mulch not be pushed up against the pool screening? Generally, we have many inches of mulch leading into screening, et cetera.
Yeah, it's sometimes when the mulch is right up against the lanai screen, it will have a tendency to build up. Typically, what we try to do is walk behind it, and if there is, we kind of pull it back. If we missed anything, just let us know, and we'll come back and just pull some of that back. Communication is key. You know, it's a very large property. We have more than one set of eyes on the property, but we can't see everything out there. So just let us know. Yes.
I have one more question. You said that you do pruning once a month. That's through the whole community?
Right.
Okay, I live in Country Club 1. Around the back of my home, I have a pool, and around the pool deck there's landscaping. There's quite a few tide plants, and they drop leaves a lot. And I've noticed that there's quite a buildup of leaves and debris. I can't pick that up anymore. I'm not physically capable of doing that. Is that something you would consider doing?
That is one of the items the crew should be doing. Yes, it is basically clean. It is our responsibility to make sure that those beds are clean of any type of debris like that. Palm fronds, tide plant leaves, anything that's there, rake it up as you're walking through the property doing your detail.
So when you say pruning, in part of my house, I have a section where I have some red ixoras. And they do go ahead and they prune them. If I would prefer they prune them farther or something that I'd like pruned more, would I open a work order?
Yes, we try to keep a standard of pruning and consistency throughout the entire community. If something you would like to have detailed and pruned differently, make the request. We'll meet with you. If it's harmful to the plants, we'll let you know. Okay. If it's just a simple request to drop a plant down another foot near your front door or whatever, as long as we know, we can accommodate it.
And if you do put in a work order, someone like Carlon will come over and speak with you about those at your home, and you can actually review the property. Like your tide plants, if they're getting a little bit taller and they're starting to defoliate, you can actually rejuvenate those and cut those down. Now, that's not something the crew is going to do on their own, but that's something that Carlon or management can do for you, and it's just a rejuvenating cut, and if you wait a few more weeks, it starts flushing out like a brand new plant.
Well, like I said, that would be very helpful for me because I'm here over 10 years. And the landscaping, of course, is getting to the point where I have to consider serious pruning or removal. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
I have two things. One, we used to always get, I'm in the north side, we used to always get cut on Thursdays. Now it's Thursdays, Wednesdays, Mondays. Can we have a set day? We have a dog, and I'm trying to make sure the dog is picked up.
Dog's ready.
But it's,
Yeah,
those things.
we're mowing bi-weekly now, and typically we mow half the property one week and the other half the next week.
But it should be on the same day,
Yes, it should.
correct?
Correct.
And that's not what's happening right now.
It just recently changed, like within a month.
A month ago.
Yeah, all of a sudden we went Thursdays.
November 1st, it probably changed.
Is that something that we can get a notification, whether it just be a blast through Stephanie or personally through everybody in the north, saying that now this area is going to be moved from Thursdays to Mondays?
And actually, that is, we provide weekly updates of services that were provided during that week. And then what we plan on doing the following week.
And put that out?
No, we don't blast that to the entire community. We send that over to your management company, just to let them know our plans. And typically it's 1 week we're doing this, next week we're doing this.
So was that change, those a permanent change for the date, the day of the?
During the winter months, it should be a permanent change,
Okay.
then it should be the same day each week.
So what I can do, we can get that
Right.
schedule
Yeah.
and I'll send it out to the community.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Great.
Well, we actually have sectional maps and it's color coded. So like, don't quote me on the colors, but like the green section is where we're working on Monday. Yellow section is Tuesday.
And that's fine.
That's fine.
We can provide that.
Yeah,
for you guys,
we do
absolutely.
it. We just, when it changed from a Thursday to a Monday, we just didn't all of a sudden want to go back to a Thursday or a Wednesday. And then
Yeah.
now we don't know what day you're coming.
Mhm.
That's all. So we can't do our own cleanup of our own
We
stuff.
can provide you with a sectional map.
Okay.
Week 1, we're going to be in sections 1 on Monday, 2 on Wednesday, and whatever for that week. And then the next, week 2, will be in these sections, these certain days during our most service.
And I do have one other question. Who's responsible for they're called the boxes in the ground where the sprinkler
Sprinkler
boxes?
boxes.
Bell boxes.
Okay, we have one right by our house that it's been run over so many times that it's not even.
The lids in
it's
pieces,
there's
there's grass
in the
growing out of the center of them and that kind of stuff.
Actually, in the scope of the contract, it's not included into our scope. So please, that becomes a liability issue. So again, let us know about it
Okay,
and we'll figure out how we need to get that resolved.
Yeah, so that would be the same thing, put a work order in and we'll, we work with United, whether it's us, it's them, it's
Right.
a utility
We know
company,
how
like
it
whatever it
I
is.
know the boxes themselves,
They
they're
go
issues, but
across.
they're the ones running them over and chewing
Yeah,
them up.
so we
and
work
spitting them all over the yard.
through that with them.
Okay.
we'll put a work order in there.
We do have a question online. How do we get the grass replaced in the boulevard around our house? I can actually answer this. So if it's a common area, we've actually built a bit into the budget for 2024 for common area sod replacement, tree replacement. So you will start to see some of that being done this coming year.
Okay, for the hardwood trimming, is it only the front parkway?
The home itself, if it's a vehicle, we take it up to 15 feet. Typically everywhere else, we'll elevate it up to about a 6 to 7 foot height, just so people when they're walking underneath it don't get clobbered in the head. And it's front, back, sides, whatever.
Okay.
Unless if it's a magnolia or a holly that's full to the ground, if you wanted that to be lifted at all, that's gonna have to be a special request.
Okay, now, one issue, I had 2 hardwood trees in the backyard, and your guys were constantly getting hit by them because the leaf branches were low. So I got tired of watching it, and I cut down the branches myself, and I pulled them off to the side. I put a request in saying, you guys pick up this stuff, and I was told, we don't pick up anything that we don't cut down. So over the next month, I put them in garbage bags, chopped them up, and threw it out in the garbage on my own because you guys wouldn't do it. But I was more upset that if your lawnmower is ducking and getting whacked by it, that you guys wouldn't even come out and
Elevate it.
or tell me that I'm responsible for cutting it myself. I just got tired of watching the poor guy getting nailed by the branch.
You make a very good observation. We did a lot of the work in elevations in the front of the homes and the streets when we first came on board. That's why we're starting a little bit earlier this year. We're still gonna get the fronts first and the boulevards, but we can get into the backs and get those elevated. I don't want my guys to be poked in the eye.
Right.
So we're gonna go around and we're gonna elevate those. So as we're servicing the property, we don't have our employees getting whacked in the head as well.
Okay. Then,
And that's a winter task.
Noticing also the difference between like my neighbor's yards and my yard is their trees have branches growing from the ground up. It doesn't look like any of their trees are trimmed up to a reasonable level to make it look like a tree. So I'm just curious to see like they bypass it and just leave it
It
alone.
might be suckers or something, I don't know.
So again, that's something that might just need a little more attention. And again, I'm sure you guys are well aware of the 8th hole is notorious for the mulch bed and the trees and the weeds and everything. That's the hole I live on. So that needs a little bit more attention as far as between the property and the golf course. It still looks like hell.
We are limited on the products that we can apply to the community. It's written right into our contract. So putting down a lot of preems or barricade or anything like that, we have limitations based upon the way the contract is written.
Okay.
Yes, I know the mulch on the golf course side, it's been a challenge, just put it that way. We're well aware of it.
Okay.
Yes.
John, I noticed little signs that are put by the sidewalk that indicate maybe some fertilizing, there's a number on there. And I noticed that they're not posted like on every home. that I
Correct.
see. Is that a special service one needs to subscribe to?
When we come out and do any type of fertilization or any type of weed control or insect control, by law, we have to post, but we will not post in every single yard of the home because it'll be like we trashed the property. We just dumped all of our placards everywhere on the property. So what we do is in the line of sight, we put one here and we may put one down there, but anything in between those two, then more than likely it's been treated. Okay?
Hi, I have a question. I'm on the even numbered Palmetto Dunes down here in section 1. And I know I've spoken to you before. I just wanted to comment, we had some issues and most of them are taken care of. One of my observations, and I believe it's much better now, but on our side of the street, we have a wall behind us. So there's no, the mower does not come straight down the back of the yards because there's no space. There's landscaping all along that wall from the builder and coming almost up to the cages. So what they do is when they run down the sides, they have to turn around. And, they're trying to do it quickly. So both sides, I moved here in June, and both sides after a few months really had patches that were worn away. Well, it was also occurring in the front of the house as well, because instead of turning around at the driveway or the street, they were spinning in the yard. I've addressed that with Stephanie and you, and I know I got some new lawn in the front. So I do appreciate that you guys fixed that, but it really occurred all along Palmetto Dunes on that even side because the yards are smaller and there's trees. So there's not a lot of room to just take a straight path like you would, behind the golf course or those areas. So just, we're observing to make sure that kind of doesn't happen again. But secondly, in that case, and I addressed this with Stephanie, and it's been a couple months, is you guys tore up one of the covers, and I don't know what electrical this cover is, but the cover's been torn up. And I don't know I'd like to know if somebody has this on order. I've got it's just a black and white copy, but it's that.
Yes, that has to be ordered by the utility company.
Okay.
Okay.
So is that?
We can't get access to those type of.
Is it Osceola County or Toho?
No, that's, cable.
It's cable. Your cable.
Oh, cable.
And so I need this covered so I don't have any issues. So do I need to, again, email you?
Please.
Okay, because I've got the email here where I sent you back a couple months ago, so.
Okay, if you could just resend it.
Okay, I will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have some questions online. Water meters for the villas have extreme differences of water usage month to month. 1 month, the bill for a meter might be around $1,400, and the next month might be $700. Can this be investigated with Toho and or United?
We do. We can only water a certain days and times. Okay, and really the water bills for reclaim will fluctuate some. I'm not sure 100 or doubling it. Typically it's not that extreme, but during different times of the year, like right now, honestly, some of our clocks may be only running once a week. okay? But during the, March and April, when it gets warm and we don't get the rains, we'll have it 2 days a week, but we'll have that runtime considerably more to get that moisture into the ground because it's getting hot and everything is drying up. Anybody who's lived in Florida for a full year now, you realize that March, April time, it's typically very dry and the temperatures start to escalate. So everything starts to dry out.
Another question online, can tree branches be cut back away from street lights in order to provide better lighting during the night hours? Do you need locations of lights that are blocked?
If there's specific areas, we only go up to that 15-foot height. The lights are a little bit higher than that.
Yeah, I think that this is gonna fall into something that we're gonna look at next year because we've budgeted money in 2024 for things like this. And then last question online right now, pruning, trees or branches touching the houses or hanging over roof lines, will they be cut back during regular pruning?
We will not, if it's on your roof, again, if we can't prune it and drop it on your house, okay, we'll own your roof probably. But again, that height limitations is the highest we can possibly go. Anything beyond that, and if it's hanging on your roof, it's gonna be up there quite a bit. So
it would just be a proposal.
It'll be a
homeowner to take
proposal,
care of.
or if there is an issue like that, please just let us know so we can investigate. We did an investigation, I think just past week, and I think we serviced it this week to get it taken care of. It still fell just within our realm to be able to take care of it, and we did. Okay, but if it's outside of that limit, then it's going to have to be a proposal.
But pruning away from a house, we can take care of, and up to a certain height for elevation, we can take care of.
Yes.
And something to keep in mind, I know you said you're planning on this for the future, but as these trees mature, you really want to start thinning them out. You want to get them on a tree program probably every, I'd say 3 to 5 years, where you actually want to thin out the canopy. And we have arborists on staff that we can coach and guide our crews through that, but that's a proposal that would be considered outside of what we do contractually. But I would definitely plan for it in the future, like as we have oak trees and elm trees, and thinning out the canopy is extremely beneficial as we get into the hurricane season.
It's one of your biggest assets you have on your property as those trees mature, they become prettier. So you don't want them to be blowing apart during a storm.
Would I contact you or you, Stephanie, if this kind of a touchy subject? We live next door to a rental property. The landscaping in the back, and I don't know the name of the tree, bush, whatever plant it is very invasive root system. And it's grown under and comes up on our property. So we have plants that are very, very hard to get rid of.
I would say for that, if they're growing in your neighbor's yard, I would reach out to me so that I can plan it with United.
Okay. They're very invasive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'll start off too. My wife and I, we have noted the difference between you guys' company and the last one. So we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
You guys covered at the beginning, one of you guys covered if you notice the shrubs or any plants, if it catches a fungus or something, I thought I heard that you guys do spot checks or something about that. If you please cover it again, or like what do I do? Because I do have a shrub on my backyard and I've been buying stuff and I spray it and it's just being stubborn. It's not, I already talked to it, I just sing into it and I'm
there is no need for, we'd love to hear you sing if you want to stand up, but there really is no need for that. If you put in a work order, we do have an agronomic team, but our goal is to not chemically inundate your property, okay? Like you mentioned earlier. We do have several wall-to-wall applications scheduled, your fertilizer applications and such, and a lot of times with those fertilizer applications, you will get weed control and you will get an IND, which is insect and disease control, which would treat fungus on your plants, or even if you get fungus in your turf. For that scenario, just put in a work order and we'll take care of that for you.
Okay, and there was quite a few palm trees that died. I live over in the countryside in the north, and a lot of the many palm trees, a lot of them died, and I see a lot of people's front yards, they're dead, you know, but anyways, the other thing I had was the edging. You know, you guys have been doing the edging around the house. I'm a big edging guy, you know, I like, the problem now is that the lines is not, it goes all over the place, you know, which I have to go, and I do believe in the homeowner needs to do their part too, so I go out there and I try to fix it. It seems like every week is, now, also, the lawnmower between the houses, there's a AC units and stuff, and the lawnmower seems to wanna go through or in between the AC units, and it barely fits, so what happens in my house is they go on the mulch area, the dirt. So the tire tracks, you know, they're there and they're pretty deep. Now I have to, every week I have to go in and fix it myself. No problem, you know, it's not a biggie, it's petty stuff. But, you know, does the guy notice that when he does that, you know, like, get off, man, and fix it, you know, because that, you know, again, it's petty stuff, but it would really be appreciated. Now, the last thing, and I don't know if this is for Stephanie, again, on Country Club North, the back gate, right on the corner, outside the gate, the entrance gate, right on the corner, De La Cita, there's a trailer there, I don't know if it's a Lennar trailer, right by the golf shop, or golf equipment and stuff. I don't know if that belongs to us or who's in charge of that, but cars there, now they get on the grass, there's a big trail where the cars go on it and they park under the trees. To me, it's just an eyesore, you know, like who owns that place, dude? Every time we come into the community, we have to see that, you know, and it's just, when it rains, it's all muddy, mud everywhere in the street, and it reminds me of where I grew up, you know, it was, you know, dirt everywhere, and it just doesn't look right, so I'm not sure if Lennar, I don't know, but I think.
I believe that's the golf course works out.
The golf course.
Yeah, the golf course works out of that trailer, that's on Bella Cita.
Again, it's an area we do not service, so I'm not sure, kind of the best course of action would be worth that detail out with Stephanie. I know the kind of the area you're referring to, and I just asked Carla, I said, we don't even go into that area, we don't. It's not part of our scope of our work.
Which golf course?
I'm sorry?
Golf course within the community.
Okay, the country club, not the Omni courses.
No.
One comment for a neighbor, friend. He had an area, it was a little tight for the lawnmowers, but a lawnmower would get right up against the screen of the pool and then damage bushes because they brought the big lawnmower in instead of taking the smaller one in. Can you guys maybe just address the?
We have, we've gone through the entire community and we noted areas where we just need 21-inch push mowers. We need a 36-inch stand-on mower, and then where the other 60 mowers can go. The community is changing, it's maturing, so again, we have to do that periodically. And other areas like you had mentioned, or you're mentioning for your neighbor, those we actually mark on the plan, so whoever has the push mower or the 36-inch mower and the 60-inch mower know exactly the areas they're responsible for.
And so, you want to comment like everybody else, you guys are doing a hell of a job.
Well, thank you.
You went through a small period that things weren't getting done.
There was a little bit of a transition.
But you guys came back strong, and I'm a little happy you guys are doing the soft edging in the backyards, especially because the weeds or the grass was taken off into the mulch.
And the edging, straightening it out, yeah, it's one of my pet peeves. It's like a drunken sailor edged it.
Yes.
We're in the process of trying to straighten those lines out.
And it all goes back to the work order system. Like, that is your direct line of communication. We are here 40 hours a week, but you guys live here. You guys walk the property. We want to use your eyes and your ears to our advantage. So when you see something, point it out, put a work order in. If your bed line is getting a little bit, cattywampus, it's not quite so straight, put in a work order. Let us come fix it for you. I can't stress that enough. That's why we put it in place. It is a direct line of communication with our landscape team, and we're not cutting Stephanie out. She gets copied on all of it, and we also pull reports on all of our open work orders and provide them with our, I think it's on a monthly basis.
What's the proper method for those bed lines? With the steel blade edger or just the filament line edging?
It's the steel blade.
It's the steel blade.
Yeah, it's the steel blade, and the reason why we try not to edge the bed lines every week, because you'll start to see those bed lines start to creep away and get bigger and bigger and bigger, which will require, your home will require more mulch. So that's why we try to do those bed lines every other week, to allow that turf to kind of fill back in and not, just kind of get away from you.
We have some questions online. One is, are the CDD areas now covered by United? So that's a bit of a trick question. Not really, but.
There's a few areas that we needed to.
Yeah, so if the CDD is responsible for that area, no, United is not maintaining that. It is being maintained by Florilawn. However, in the past several months, the CDD deeded over several plots of land to the country club that we now own. So if it is one of those areas, then yes, United is maintaining that. And a lot of those areas include like the monument areas.
Monument and the
little
roundabout
areas, so smaller areas of land. And then the next question. Lawnmowers should not spin around in the driveways. They leave marks on our driveways.
Well, that was one of the comments is, they don't they don't turn on the driveways. We train our guys to try not to go onto the walkways or the driveways and turn around, because you're going to leave marks on the driveway. So our constant challenge is, when you're going to turn around, don't pivot. Mm-hmm. Turn, okay? Yes. That's an ongoing training challenge that we've had for years.
Okay. And then the last one, the grass under our fence was killed. We were not told why and that it would be replaced, and it has not been replaced yet. So I would say for that, if you could either follow up with me via email, and I will reach out to the team here, or you could open up another work order and we can handle it through there. But I would suggest just reaching out to me directly and we'll get it taken care of. Do we have anything else from our in-person audience members? Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, you guys.
We appreciate being here. Yes, thank you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We have one more. We do have one more thing from the villas. I have my hand up. I'd like to address the water for the villas further. Okay, Kathy, if you'd like to, do you want me to just unmute her and she can speak? Yeah. Kathy, I'm gonna unmute you. Oh, actually, you just unmuted yourself. Go ahead, Kathy.
All right. Hi, this is Kathy Owens. I do live in the villas, and I'm on the villas committee. And we do have a large fluctuation with our water bills month to month. I know you said that there could be some fluctuation, but you thought that maybe half would be quite extreme. We have that a lot. So how do we get to the bottom of it?
I believe we're actually in a process now of working out it's not approved, okay.
No, so I think there was a bit of misunderstanding here because with the villas, as they do share irrigation, we did have quite a few homeowners who installed new plant material, and the way that our documents are currently written, they do still share that cost, even if it's benefiting one homeowner. Unfortunately, it is the way the documents are written. I went out there with Carlon, and we have, Carlon had his irrigation team out there, and I believe that it's been verified that everything is running as it should. So I mean, I would say,
That's not
Kathy,
my
that,
question. That is not my question. This extreme difference in how much the bills are month to month has to be something going on. It can't just be because of the extra watering.
Well, we can check the settings on the clock for you to make sure that everything is set properly. But that's really about as far as what we can handle. If you have bills, maybe we can compare and I'm not sure if the price actually fluctuates during the year, but I don't think that does with Toho. But the only time we actually reduce watering is when we go into the dormant season, we do reduce watering. But other than that, the water schedule stays the same.
Because I'm going to tell you, like October 19th, our bill was $698 for one of the meters. And then November 19th, it was $1,474. That's a huge difference.
Yes, that's a very big difference.
And at another section of the villas, it was $700, and then the next month it was $1,400. So something's not right.
We'd be more than happy to go through your system again and make sure everything is set accordingly and make sure there's no breaks or leaks. And if there was a leak, a lot of times it's visible. Water moves dirt and soil and mulch. So if there's a leak, it's gonna be visible, but we will be more than happy to go through your irrigation settings and clocks again and make sure everything's set appropriately.
And Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes.
Stephanie, we did actually provide when the run cycles are gonna be, what days are running and the times are running in between start time and end time. Did we provide that to you?
yes.
Okay. So, and really the only time, as Chris had mentioned, is the only time we'll change that programming is really during the dormant time of the year or during the drought time of the year in the spring.
Sure,
That's
I
where you'll
understand that.
Installation in your,
Yeah,
in your
that makes
water.
sense. Another thing that was said is about the watering. I know that a single family homeowner, I mean, we're single family homeowners, but yet we're attached. But one of the houses got a thing from Toho saying, hey, you're in, you did something you're not supposed to. I can't think of the exact words, but you watered when you weren't supposed to. You're only supposed to water certain days, but yet I know that we had watering going on for 65 days at one home. So
That's
I
only
don't-
because additional plant material was planted. So when new plant material is planted, the United is given like a variance, not variance.
Yeah, it's very.
Like a variance
We can run every day.
from the water company saying that they can and are expected to run the water every day to ensure that the plant material doesn't die.
But Toho is very strict when it comes to the water authority. It has to be a certain amount of your turf has to be replaced, or a certain amount of your bed space has to be replaced. They won't allow us to increase the water if we're doing a couple pieces of sod or a couple, like 2 plants. It has to be a significant amount of plant material that requires that additional watering.
Yeah, because Kathy, I can.
Do you know how many plants? Excuse me, do you know how many plants?
I do not know the exact number, but I know it's got to be, it has to be more than like a handful. It can't be just like a couple plants or a couple pieces of turf. At that point, the homeowner would be responsible to make water with a hose.
Do you think it would be like 20 plants? It would be more than like 6 or 7?
I would say along like the whole side of a building or along the back of the building, something along those. But if it's just onesie twosies, they're not going to allow that variance.
Yeah, I know, but on a whole side of a building, you could have maybe a half a dozen plants on a villa, because the villas aren't that big.
Right.
So a half a dozen is not that many, correct?
I will say, Kathy, like with the single family homes, the freestanding homes where they do their own, they get their own irrigation bills. Like Chris mentioned, like Toho is extremely strict, and we have many instances weekly where Toho is shutting off homeowners' water because they are overusing. So we get notified when that happens. So
sure, I don't think Toho cares if your grass or your plants die. It's not their job. They don't care.
Yeah, what
One
I'm
way or the
saying is
other.
I feel like if United was watering outside of the scope, or if Toho noticed a trend where too much water was being used, they would be turning the villa's water off on their own.
Yes,
And I think some of it has been turned off here and there at times. I'm not saying it is at the present, but I know it was at times.
So I think we've got a commitment right now.
Yes, we would be more than
United.
happy to go through your irrigation system again, make sure everything is set correctly, make sure everything is working properly. And that's the best we can do, unfortunately. And I would just keep tabs on your irrigation billing or your cycling. And
We
see
do,
what the
we have a spreadsheet with it. We have a spreadsheet with it month from starting with January of the whole year for all 3 meters, and it would be great if you'd take a look at it.
Absolutely, we'd love to look at it. Does it, your spreadsheet, does it have like how many gallons you're using per week or per month?
Can you provide that spreadsheet?
Yes, it does.
Okay, yeah, we would love to take a look at that. So maybe if you have that, what I would suggest, put a work order in, and our team can come out. We'll evaluate the irrigation system again, make sure that everything is set appropriately, and you should have a general idea of how many gallons per month you're using. So if you see 1 month, getting super high, that should be a red flag. I can tell you.
And that's what I'm saying. Like last January, it was 508 gallon. Just last month, or in October, it was 255 gallon, and then November it was 402 gallon. It's a huge difference.
That's fair.
So something is wrong with the Villa water. I know it is. It has to be. And this is also down at Trapper's Trail on the other end. It happens down there. Not as fluctuated as ours is, but it does.
If you could, take a look at your bill. I believe it'll state when it was inspected, from what date the last inspection was to the current inspection in the water bill. And you may notice that there may be an additional 2, 3, 4 days on one bill because it may not be inspected on the 30th of every month. So
Well,
take
sure.
a look
In October it was 30 days. November it was 31. There was 1 day difference.
One day variance. I have seen.
We have the days, we have the water usage. We have the days, we have the water usage, we have the meter number. So we have all of that.
So if you could just have that for us whenever we come to do your inspection on your irrigation, we'll be happy to look at that as well.
I can provide it for you. I have this,
You have it as
I have
well?
that
It's even better.
spreadsheet and I have all of their bills.
Well, what we can do also.
Yeah, I do.
You have
Kathy.
Stephanie, you have the current spreadsheet that Karen sent you? Okay, thank you.
I do, yes.
And really, let's really keep track of our monthly inspection.
Yep.
And listen, we may have had one head 1 month, but maybe 5 heads the next month. And if it's broken heads, it's going to probably pump out a little bit more water than the month prior.
That's a good point.
So again, we're inspecting it once a month, and we are doing the repairs of anything that's broken. But let's kind of look at and see if there is a correlation there as well.
Okay, so Stephanie, you'll get that to them, and so there's nothing I need to do, correct?
Yeah, I will provide that spreadsheet and the bills to them tomorrow to look at.
All right.
We'll be in touch. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us online.
Yes,
Have
thank
a
you,
great
everyone.
night. Thank you to United.